Hey, what's up, squad? From Ridge Suite, I'm Colin Smith, and you are listening to the Cold Ones podcast. It's the podcast with chilly questions and even colder ice cream. And today we are joined by my dear friend, Andrea Kayal. You know her as the CRO of Help Scout and former women's soccer team captain at the Michigan Wolverines. Go Big Blue. Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Thanks for having me, Colin.
It's good to see you.
You too.
Who are we working with, though? We know WeWork. Is that a WeWork phone booth?
It is.
I know him when I see him. Where are
Yeah.
you?
I'm 450 Park Ave South today, so like right in the middle of the city.
Beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
hoping some good views.
Well, currently I see what
Nice.
you see. But it's a nice day. I think we were talking about that earlier. So, makes my mood much better.
This is crazy. I don't know if you're going to believe this, but I actually went to my first WeWork last week. Can you believe last week?
Oh my gosh, no. This is like my home away from home.
Yeah.
So
It was great. I was in Boston. Shout out Mark Roberge, and we were hanging out.
oh nice.
I did a little morning WeWork session, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, I love WeWork. I hope they sort out kind of the next phase of their journey. Because I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, fair enough. And they, I mean, and if you look at the WeWork map in New York where you are, it's like
Yeah.
everywhere.
I hope they get into I mean, I'm a Jersey girl, so I hope they move over. Maybe the real estate will be cheaper,
Do they have any in Jersey? Maybe.
No.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. I
Jersey.
mean,
Jersey.
I know. It's the best.
It's the best. All right. Well, I'm very excited and grateful to have you on Cold Ones. You know, the first part of the show, we really dive into who is Andrea. Like, what's the person behind the LinkedIn, post? What's the person behind the CRO title? I think people know who you are, but don't always get to know truly who you are. And so I'm going to start things off with just a couple fun questions. But before we do, we've got some ice cream. And we have quite an interesting story this morning. We shipped some very fun ice cream, and you had a last minute had to go to the city, so you picked up some special, fun, different ice cream.
Reese's, my
That
favorite.
looks good. That looks good. But we do try and strategically, I call it, select ice cream based on who you are and how I've gotten to know you. And so the one we did pick for the first portion is the New York cheesecake.
Yes.
You're New York through and through, baby.
Yes.
New York.
Well,
New
I mean,
York, New Jersey.
yeah, Jersey girl, but I've been working in the city for the last 20 years, but we did receive the ice cream. My wife got into the cheesecake one last night. So just to be clear, it is definitely going to be consumed. It's just not the one I have this morning.
Good. Well, no, it's all good. So I'm gonna you good for us to kick some things off here?
Yeah.
What's something that few people know about you that you wish more people did, rather?
Okay, well, that's a twist that I wish more people would know. Well, I think I'm an introvert at my core. I think I go to a lot of events, I attend a lot of things, but I think my favorite thing to do is just like sit on the couch with a glass of wine in my PJs. I don't know if it's because of my age or not, but I feel very like Larry David-ish in this like next phase of my life where I'm like, I always like have a complaint about something. So
That's great.
I think my wife thinks it's funny, but hopefully that doesn't like wear on her for the next, 40 years.
Do we have any recent complaints that you'd like to just go off about for a second?
Oh, it's just everything. I mean, like we're watching like even Love is Blind last night, and I just was complaining the whole show about the relationships. I mean, it's anything. Seriously, like pick a topic and I have a complaint about it. So
That's good. I too struggle with the TV shows. My girlfriend and I have been watching Jack Ryan.
okay.
Great show. I mean, I appreciate the show, but it's so unrealistic. And I've become the annoying guy. It's like,
Yeah.
that could never
No.
happen. That doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
Well, this is me. So we have a lot of relatable qualities there. Yeah, I don't go through a single show where I'm not like, debating the information, how it cannot possibly be true and all of that. I would say another like maybe personal fun fact is just, you know, I played soccer for, you know, earlier on in my career, and I was on the national team. So I don't know if I wish more people would know that, but
That's pretty cool,
it's
though.
it's a fact that you know, I'm still very proud of.
What position?
On the national team, defense. So when I was in college, you
Throwing
know,
bows?
yeah, throwing bows, exactly right. So I was like midfield in high school. Obviously, I think everyone plays midfield in high school, but when I got to college and like sort of the more elite levels, I guess, you know, I moved to the back. They were like, get back there and keep the ball at the goal, you know. So
Big
that was fun.
jersey attitude.
Yeah,
Don't get to the goalie. That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So what's a common misconception? A little bit of different from the first question. What's a common misconception? Something that people think about Andrea, but maybe might not be true.
Because I'm so New Jersey, I'm very direct communicator. And when I join teams, I actually like have to share a book about my personality type, which and also we use Enneagram at Help Scout, which is also like personality type profiling. Again, it's not to use as a weapon, like to say like, oh, this person's behaving this way because they're a number. But because like I'm a direct communicator and I'm technically an 8 in that like personality profile, which is called challenger. Like I thrive on debate and like conflict. I don't know, conflict feels negative, but I feel like we do
No,
our
I
best
know
work.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, just like let's get it out there so we can like move something forward. But that can be perceived, you know, obviously as harsh, you know, or
Yeah.
direct or hurt, in a way that I actually don't even mean it. Like I think I'm a big mush. Like I actually really love people and communicating with them. And that's like my love language is to be direct because I feel like I'm helping solve problems when in reality that can be abrasive to people. So that balance has been something I've tried to work through.
So I consider myself Southern. I mean, I'm from Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm Southern, but geez, I have the Northern. My family's from New Jersey, and my family's from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Little Falls, New Jersey. I have the Northern directness. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to beat around the like, you know, I just want to be like, all right, look, let's talk about the topic at hand. Like, let's get straight to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's in my opinion, it's the kindest way to communicate because I'm like, I'm going to help you through it, whatever it is. I'm here to help, but maybe in the moment to a person who is another profile, who needs a minute to digest and doesn't want to move on, needs to process. Those can be things that, you know, are at odds. And
Yeah.
so I've tried to um balance that. So I'd say
Yeah.
like, you
I
know,
like the book idea. It's kind of like, hey, like, is some, you know, let's just get everyone prepared for a
yeah.
second.
You know, one of the things we did at Electric was, and this was an idea from a dear friend and colleague, Tara Goldman, basically wrote a document that said like how to work with me. And it just like sections and it says like, you know, I don't know, things like when I'm at my best, I show up this way, like when I'm at my work, just like showing you who you are, like under the
Yeah,
covers. So you
yeah,
can go back and read that and be like, oh, well, this is why this person is behaving this way, not to take it personally.
yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I actually know another CEO who has his exec team do that. My only here I am. I'm being
Yeah, great.
my only well, it is great. My only question is how often do people go back and look at that thing? It's kind of like, you know, you write documents.
Yeah.
Hopefully people do, but I don't know. I feel like I'd put it in some Google Drive somewhere and forget about it and keep going.
Yeah, it's something you only actually have to read once to
Yeah,
know who they are and where they're coming from, and that the person cares enough to say like, I want you to know if I'm showing up this way, it's not because I don't care, probably because I do, but my communication style is X, you
yeah.
know?
I'm from New Jersey. What do you want, eh?
Yeah, right, right. Okay, let's move on.
Exactly. All right. Growing up in the Jersey area, New York City, I'm sure you've had some epic celebrity encounters. Is there one that stands out as just being funniest or just being the most ridiculous?
Oh my God. Well, it is true. Lots of celeb encounters. But I'll tell you the funniest one was my wife and I had met for dinner late one night at Capitol Grill on Route 17 in Jersey. It's in a mall and it was like 9:45 and Celeb comes in and you can see because basically they like shut down the whole back of the restaurant, but it was 9:45. I'm like, oh my God, it's so late. And just to be clear, I'm usually in my PJs asleep by like 7:30. So the fact that we were out was like crazy. But we were having a martini at the bar and we were going to wrap it up because Capital Girl was actually closing at 10. But Celeb comes in all the way to the back. And I was like, Mern, go to the bathroom and see who it is. A bartender's like, I can just tell you who it is. And he's like, it's Cardi B. And anybody who knows me, Cardi, and by the way, this was like maybe 5 years ago. So, she's like coming up,
Yeah.
anyway, I was like, oh my God, Mern, I need a picture. So she's like, okay, so we go to the back, but it's late. And I'm like, so embarrassed to do that kind of stuff. So I like sent my wife on the mission to get me a picture with her, a selfie, just to see if we could get one. And we go up to her and she's like, sure, like I'll, you can take a selfie with me. So I get up close to her in the booth and I go to take the selfie and I like shut my phone off. She's like, give me that. Like, you don't know how to take a selfie. So anyway, I shut my phone off on her. She took my phone. She took the selfie of us, but
That's hilarious. Cardi B.
Yeah.
Wow, what an icon. At the Capitol Grill and what'd you say, Route 17?
Jersey. Yeah.
She's from Jersey?
She has a house in Jersey now, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. So
that's pretty funny. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, last question, wrapping up the personal, fun, silly section here. Most recent shoe purchase. What are we rocking these days?
Okay, I'm like, do not buy material things that are like expensive because I like beat them up or I lose them, or like if I have a pair of nice glasses or anything, like gone. Just bags, don't bother, gone. But I did buy a nice pair of Louboutins about a couple months ago. They're like
Stop.
cheetah print. They're just so obnoxious. I only have like one obnoxious pair of shoes and those are them.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the question, not so much because of like
Yeah,
what you actually got, but it's a fun way to like express something about. So
yeah,
no one's like,
yeah. They're cheetah print.
Yeah. I love it. I see that. I can see that. Nice. All right. Well, thank you for sharing us a little bit. A look into who is Andrea and what makes the person behind, the brand and behind the as I say, the LinkedIn. We're gonna fast forward into Ice Cream 2, which again, we know the story. It's at home, had to rush in New York City. We get it, but we did pick something good for you.
Yes.
With banana split, because you split out of being a CMO pretty quick and jumped into CRO role. And so when I saw that, I was like, I think there's a good little play we could
so smart, so creative on your end, and I'm sad I don't have it here, but
well, enjoy it this evening.
Yeah.
So that's a big portion of, and by the way, you can eat if you feel comfortable. You can eat the peanut butter ice cream and
yeah, I'm definitely gonna have a bite. I mean, it's 10:30 in the morning. They did look at me crazy when I went into the store to buy it. Like,
yeah.
You're really getting after it at 10 o'clock.
It's been a tough week. It's only Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm like, it's not a 40. It's just like it's
ice cream. We're not doing team building, whatever.
Yeah.
So Cold Ones is, as you may know, is a play on the Hot Ones podcast where they eat the wings.
Yeah.
One of the guests, gosh, I don't remember who it was. Anyways, they're filming their Hot Ones, and he goes, I'd just like to say something for the camera, for the audience, whenever this is produced and put on YouTube. I'd just like y'all to know that it is 9:15 in the morning. I got to 8. And I'm in a studio in Los Angeles eating hot wings at 9:15.
Yeah.
I just want y'all to know. Yeah. Put that in your brain right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 10:30 a.m. and we're eating ice cream.
That's how I felt this morning.
So I think just general question. I don't know if I've met a CMO who transitioned to a CRO and a successful CRO at that. How?
Oh. Well, I will say I'll technically tell you how it happened, and then I'll tell you a bit about why I think you will see more CMOs transitioning into CRO. Well, first, just like the chief revenue officer, I mean, it's like what a CMO is. I mean, there's 12 disciplines in marketing. Revenue include, and it's nuanced for every business. It's just a collection of like, functions that need to drive more revenue for the company. And I think for a long time, lots of sales leaders have ascended into revenue because they were the closest to the actual buying decision. but, for all intents and purposes, and we'll talk about this, I think, marketers have just as much awareness about what's going to drive revenue or the strategy for future revenue that like sales leaders do. So I think you'll see more of that. And also the CMO at 6 Sense, Lotney just moved from, CMO to CRO. So you'll see more, I think more marketers like doing this, but technically what happened was, in case this is helpful for anybody listening and you're like kind of in the situation at your company, what I felt like was the biggest reason for a CRO role, period, whether or not I was going to take it or not, was when I was at Electric and the CEO had CMO, SVP of sales, SVP of product, chief customer officer, all these like commercial, really senior, like experienced leaders, but no one deliberator of how we were going to get from then 50 million to 100 million. We all kind of like had ideas, but like no deliberator. And I'm like, wow, he doesn't have leverage here. So I went to him and I said, like, look, Ryan, I think, I want to raise my hand and move from this to this. I'm like, no disrespect to my peers. They can all do this. And I'm like, if it's not me, maybe make it one of them, but like someone who's going to help you figure out 50 to 100. And at the time, I had only gone from Electric from 5 to 50 or whatever, so we 10x the business together, but I could understand. He's like, but you haven't done that next phase before. I think you're right in that we might need someone, which he ended up eventually hiring. He's like, but it can't be you because you haven't done it. And I'm like, I understand. But I knew that I was probably going to want to jump into CRO because I'm like, I think I can give someone a lot more leverage than they get from many senior leaders, like all reporting in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's kind of having eyes on all the fun. I think about like that garden, like a garden fountain where the water hits and then it jumps into the next bucket and then the next bucket, right? And if you have it, I don't know. I feel like having one CRO over all the functions allows you to kind of control that flow versus having like a gap and then.
Yeah. And like, I was never the strongest marketer either. I hired for where my weaknesses were. But I think in that role, you have to be very good at hiring for people where you have gaps, but being very good at helping see the future with the CEO. So like, am I the best salesperson now? Absolutely not. I mean, CEO probably still is, but I mean, like, I doubt there's someone on your team better at selling retreat than you are, but hire for where your weaknesses were. So that's what I felt confident in. I think I had an understanding of like what would take us to the next level there. And in this case, when I told Ryan and he said, it's not you, I kind of reached out to Nick, who is a CEO at Help Scout, because I was on the board for 2 years and I was just going to renew my next board opportunity for another 2 years. And I said, look, FYI, I'm going to go look for the CRO opportunity, which I was very transparent with Ryan about. And he's like, no, do it here. So, we had spent a lot of time together. And so I was very thankful for, him having confidence in me to do that. But it does take someone, CEO, who can kind of see that in, like someone to help make the jump.
Well, that's my second question. It's like, regardless of title, there's certain skills for every role that just make that person more effective and successful in that role. What would you say? And there's a lot of marketers that listen to a lot of demand gen, a lot of product marketers who listen to Cold Ones. If there's maybe a VP of marketer that's becoming a CMO who does eventually want to become a CRO, what should they be doing today to prepare them for that next leap?
Yeah, I am also the dean of CMO school for Pavilion, and my class, I mean, a dean, meaning like there are 8 classes for CMO school. Like if you want to understand what to do to be a CMO, like I highly recommend that course. But my class in particular is about like, what does it mean to go from VP of marketing, for example, to CMO? It's actually more of the C in the M than it is the M. Like you don't need more marketing skills to be a CMO. You need to be an exceptional leader. And I think between CMO and CRO, it's those leadership skills. For example, foresight. Do you know how to get a business from let's just call it 50 million to 100 million? Like, well, okay, you need to figure out what specific strategies and initiatives you're going to lock in on in order to do that. And then obviously like, all the marketing tactics below that, but like foresight, peripheral vision, like what is your competition doing? Again, force multiplier, you have to be like exceptional at hiring. Also, now all your metrics go from like marketing metrics like pipeline and revenue to like EBITDA, gross margin, rule of 40, magic number. Like you have more responsibility in the business. You are peer to the CEO than you are just the marketer. So like there are obviously skills between the two, but I would say the most critical one for marketing to CRO is that you need to understand how to create a revenue strategy that includes sales, right? So it's no longer just like marketing's doing this, sales is doing this. It's like, well, actually, how is our pricing and packaging factor into this? Like, is product going to deliver on the stuff we need to close more deals? Do we need to do international expansion? Like, what are you thinking about to grow the future? And in Help Scout in particular, direct sales is like challenging because it's an industry that has been around for a million years and customer support.
Yeah.
And it's costly. We're never going to outspend Zendesk or, maybe some of the others. So like, what are we going to do to grow? And in our case, it's through partnerships or distribution. So that was a long-winded answer, but
no, but I get it, right? It's how do you get out of your pipeline number and out more holistically, which is what the CRO role is.
Yeah.
So it sounds like tip number one, take the CMO school or just reach out to Andrea on LinkedIn.
Yeah, or get a CMO, mentor and really like understand like, what's the difference. Like I said, I don't think I'm gonna like learn more marketing as I continue like on my journey, but like the skills for the leadership, the C is like no one ever taught me that shit. I'm like, well, 20 years later, I'm old, so I like had to learn it. But
30 is not that old, Andrew.
Very good. Very good.
So I want to double click into something. This is not this is a little off script here, but I really find distribution channels interesting.
Yeah, me too.
Help Scout has kind of like doubled down on partnerships and distribution. Boom, get in there.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you.
Versus direct sales. Was there some head bumping of like trying to, force direct sales just not working? Like, how did y'all arrive at that?
Yeah, I mean, direct sales will always be like a core revenue driver for us, but I would say that like in any business, because it's always nuanced, like direct sales for some companies is really maybe the only way to market. But I think the key driver for me was, I mean, as annoying as it sounds, was just CAC. Like, is there any amount of money we can spend on paid that's going to get us above, get us to the growth numbers we expect to see at a price that we are willing to absorb? Because we also, we're all like the rest of the planet marching towards, healthy rule of 40, profitability, like just, better magic number, those kinds of things. And I'm like, well, how are we ever going to get there? Like, are we just going to like be in this cycle of, having a challenge with the costs? And so I said, well, how else can we get through that? And I'm like, well, how do we increase our like feet on the street without increasing the costs? And that's just one of the ways. So if you have like for electric, we had a very high ACV at the time when I was there. We didn't necessarily need to go through partners at the time to maybe the same extent we need to do it at Help Scout. So, there's,
just a strategy deployed based on the business challenges.
Exactly. It's all nuanced. Nuanced.
Is there a partnership strategy or channel, rather, specific tactical channel that you feel like has been more successful than others for Help Scout?
Actually, because this is like a new strategy we're like considering, I can speak to the one at Electric because
cool.
that we spun up and it was producing $1 million within the year we spun it up. It was so I hired a director of BD, a guy named Matt Dong. I will call him out because I love him and he is an exceptional operator. He is like, he was like ride or die. You just need and sometimes like when you're building a channel like this, you need somebody who's like literally willing to die to like go to battle for you to like make it work. I hired him and he hired 3 people. And we basically said, okay, which affiliate agencies, we did a lot of pre-work here too, just to like validate this. Which affiliates are referral partners so that we didn't have to rely on the product. Because if you're thinking about a partnership strategy, like my number one tip for you is to like not tether your strategy to what the product team, like integrations. We're always going to be behind in terms of like, what they want to build. So try to untether yourself from like what product needs to do. But so we went the affiliate strategy, which is like, hey, look, refer us as business, we're going to pay you on revenue. And because our ACV was so high, that was actually lucrative for affiliates. So we said, okay, well, who are the standard referrers right now? For us, it was cybersecurity partners because they were like, we're just doing this one piece of it. Can you guys handle all the rest of their IT stuff? it was like a natural funnel and it was downstream. It's like they started with cybersecurity, but they needed more.
Yeah.
So, so we just segmented the affiliates like we did any like marketing tactic and said like, well, who, and then I just had them like dialing and emailing and just like an SDR would outbound, like talking about a new revenue stream for agencies sometimes who are just like, actually, this isn't our strength to go find new business, but we do want another revenue stream. So
Yeah. Okay, so you treated them like your customers. So you segmented them, you had an outbound campaign, you probably nurtured them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had probably customer market or partner marketing that you started spinning up maybe.
Had a funnel. It's 2 funnels on one. It's like the recruitment and enablement. And then like they start, then you like, it's 6 months before they're productive, at least for electric it was. And then we were like, okay, well, so we manage it like a pipeline and it worked.
Yeah. The only question I always have about it just feels like there's so much potentially waste that you have to like sift through with partners.
Yeah.
Like you can, everyone's like, oh, go to VCs. Like you talk to like 100 VCs and maybe one ends up referring you to.
Well, you know why that is. Now that is such a saturated channel, VCs. Like I know an operating partner at Primary, and I was talking to her the other day. Occasionally I like do some checks for some VCs on like new products that are coming to market just to say like, would you buy this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes or no, or like, whatever. And so I was just talking to her the other day and I was like, I have an awesome agency. And she's like, do you know how many of these we get a day? She's like, I'll have the conversation because, well, but she's like 10 or 15 a day are like trying to get in to see if like we can be the RevOps agency of record or the website agency of record, so I think VC is a super saturated market. What I would say is find where the junk isn't. And that is like, maybe it's accounting firms, QuickBooks, I think went that route. Bill.com, like cheap product, like went in through agencies, like big, massive partner channel. You're just going to find your niche like everything else. I think I was talking to somebody yesterday. I was like, well, it's a marketing exercise to find the right partners that are going to be productive. And you also still want to use the same analogy, the marketing analogy, which is like, if you're trying to saturate it, you want a dropper full of the blue liquid in a beaker, not a pool. And like, that's the same thing applies for partnerships.
Right. You want to keep it focused. Is that what you mean?
Keep it focused. Yeah. Like if you want to saturate something, do you take your dropper? Because you only have this many tiny dollars. And like, do you put the dropper in a beaker or do you put it in a pool?
Right.
No, you like put it in a beaker.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, by the way. All right.
No, I did not come up with it.
I like that though.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that before. So there's a big controversial question that's starting to I think it's starting to make its way a little bit more to the mainstream. Should marketing as a function report into the CRO?
100%. I don't know why it's controversial.
Said it with her chest.
Again, like this is the Jersey. I mean, I mean that in the most loving, caring way possible. But I think there's a more controversial one now than marketing into revenue. Because again, marketing's job is revenue. I don't know. I don't think you can disconnect it.
Yeah.
If I was a CMO and there was a CRO, I would have been happy to report into someone who I knew I was aligned with on one strategy.
Yeah. That's it really is the fragmentation that kills.
It kills it. It kills it. It makes no sense. And I'm like, I don't know where this bifurcation came from because it's all revenue. Even if you're working on brand exercises, if you're spending money at all in a marketing organization so that you can sell more business, even if it's like, these big brand initiatives. So I would say the more controversial one and one that we're like talking about at Help Scout isn't. Well, it's not where does the whole product team report. That reports now to the CEO, and so does the experience org. That's gonna say that our CEO is like a visionary. He's like a product leader. Like that would never come into revenue. But because we're PLG, there's like an idea of like where does growth sit? Because growth is like when you start a trial and you want them to become paying customers.
Yep.
Where is the optimization for that revenue? Because 50% of our revenue is PLG and 50% is through sales, but it's all revenue. So like my role in that, it's like product-y, but revenue-y. So like, I think that's the one that's like not so clear. I think, especially for PLG companies, it's like, where does that live?
There is, I like that we've finally done enough cold ones where we can start tying some back. There's a great episode with John Itel, who's
Okay.
the chief sales officer at Demand Base, but he was former the U.S. General manager for Canva. And he talks about how growth should live in the CRO's world because now he can't steal from Peter to pay Tom, or
Yeah.
like it's all one. He needs to find a way to make the growth work to also feed the revenue.
Okay. I'm sad I did not see that before, but I'm immediately go to that
Yeah,
because,
I'll make a mention of it.
okay,
It's a great one. It's with John Itel. I think it's episode 7.
cool.
Yep, he talks
Awesome.
all about this exact topic.
Yeah, this, because I think marketing, I think the marketing definitely should live there because I think it's all tied, but that one is still like I don't know, it's a little less clear to me.
Let me just double click real quick and just on the marketing living in
Yeah.
CRO.
Mhm.
I believe that there's probably, and I could be wrong, and I invite the challenge. I believe there's probably a shape of an organization, whether it be size or vertical or this or that, where everyone should live in CRO versus where maybe there should be split. Or do you think that there isn't a shape size, just straight up functionally should be in CRO? Or is there like a shape dependent to it, size dependent, stage?
No, I mean, yeah, I think I would say like generally like Series D companies, that's like 75 million and below, maybe like that general range. I
Sure.
think in my experience from what I know, I think having everything under one CRO org, it, again, is probably the most leverage for the CEO, because I think that's what we're solving for with a centralized function. It's can the CEO go to one person, not like 10, and
Yeah.
say, are we hitting our numbers? And if so, why not? Now the CRO needs to be able, now my org is split up, VP marketing, basically head of sales, head of account management, head of partnerships. It's all the things that contribute to the number I own. So I just go to those people and say, like, are we getting there? But the CEO doesn't have to go to 4 people. It just goes to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's really what we're solving. I think different folks are solving for different things with that.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that's a very, I think, unique and efficiency oriented approach to it. But other folks are like, oh, it's, you know, we're solving for conversion ratios or we're solving.
Yeah. All of that is still important. And
Yeah.
I'm required to know that. But again, at the end of the day, right, I only have one number to report back to CEO. He actually doesn't really care about all the other stuff
Yeah.
unless I'm missing. Then what broke down? And then I'm going to my VP of marketing. I'm like, did we get enough trials this month? And then she's like, yes. And then I go to my head of sales and I'm like, why didn't you convert more of those to deals or partnerships? I'm like, how much indirect sales are coming in from, anyway, you get it. I'm the one like doing the coordination. And frankly, like I said, as CMO, I feel uniquely positioned though to help on the go-to-market brand demand gen side than I do. And this will also be controversial, nothing against my peers who came up in the sales world. It's less taxing for me to understand the problems inside of sales than it is in marketing. Marketing can be complex and challenging, attribution, costs, all of that.
Yeah.
So I think I have better awareness of how to optimize for that. And,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Interesting time. We'll see how I think we will see the consolidation next few years. Success is a team sport, Andrea. You know that. You're a team player. University of Michigan Tar Captain. Um, when do you think about your career, whether it's at Electric or Help Scout or all the places you've been to bring you to where you are today? Who are a few, and I know there's probably hundreds, but who are a few just folks, support roles, SDRs, AEs, ABM managers, partnership folks, SCs, who come to mind that you feel like had an outsized impact on your success? I know Matt Don, I wrote
yeah,
that.
yeah, Matt Donk. Yep, he definitely. I would say, from a support. Oh my God, I feel bad because I'm like, oh my
I
God,
know there's always so many.
am I going to be able to list? I would say people I really enjoyed working with. Joanne Martin. She's now the VP of marketing at Black Crow. I would say currently, Kristen Bryant Smith. She's my VP of marketing here. Allison Charles. She's an awesome, product marketing director. Oh my God.
Here, I'll cap you there.
Yeah.
Just simply because you could go on and on and
Yeah,
on.
I could. This would be the whole episode.
So it's not that Andrea didn't want to mention you, it's that
Yes.
I snapped it, right?
Yeah, okay. You're on my list to mention.
Well, Andrea,
Seth Steinman, sorry.
yeah, add one more. Who is it?
Okay, Seth Steinman. He's VP of marketing now at shit, I'm blanking at the company's at. But
Seth.
wonderful. Seth Steinman, yeah.
Andrea Kayal, welcome and thank you for coming and hanging out with us at Cold Ones. No brain freezes.
No,
I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. This has been a really fun time. So thank you
thanks
your
for
time.
having me.
In the last minute, tell our audience what's going on in your neck of the woods for the next year. What should we be looking out for?
Just getting Help Scout to continue our growth. You know, we want to win the market. So I'm laser focused on that.
There we go. There we go. Thank you for your time, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thanks.